Hello, and welcome to a live episode of the Leveraging AI podcast, the podcast that shares practical, ethical ways to leverage AI to improve efficiency, grow your business, and advance your career. This is Isar Metis, your host. And one of the questions that people ask me and also ask themselves a lot is what is going to be the future of SEO in an AI universe where people use AI to do most of the search, and later on agents do most of the search. And the truth is, nobody really knows how it's going to play out. But what is obvious is that showing up on AI chats and AI agents as your company and the services and the product that you sell is a huge benefit, and it's going to be a growing benefit as more and more people switch from just using regular search to using more AI or agentic approach. Now, while I think most people will agree with that, the big question is how the hell do you do that? How do you get to show up on AI agents and or AI conversations in chat? And in today's episode, we're going to show you exactly how to do that, how to find content that AI chatbots and AI agents like, how to add your company information, your services, your products, your information about you into those conversations so that you appear more frequently and on more topics through these AI conversations. Now, to help us learn how to do that, we have with us Pietro Montaldo. Pietro, if you don't know him, you should. He is one of the super AI thinkers that are online right now. Him and I connected on LinkedIn a while back. This is not his first time on the show, and he builds really amazing workflows with AI across multiple aspects of the business with multiple tools. And he also has a course where he teaches how to do these kind of things. And so today he's going to walk us through this process. Now, maybe SEO is not your key thing, but the cool thing about today's episode is in addition to learning how to make yourself show up more frequently on AI, which I think is a huge benefit, you're going to learn how Pietro actually builds automations, meaning you get a view, a front seat view to how somebody who's extremely experienced in building AI workflows is looking and building and creating a process that is production ready, that actually provides business value. And that by itself is extremely valuable. So for both reasons, one, learning how to build really powerful automations, and the other is how to show up on AI. I'm really excited about both topics, and hence I'm really excited to welcome Pietro back to Leveraging AI. Pietro, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Isaac. It's a pleasure to be back. Last time, I think it was a really great session, one of my favorite. I think I repeated 3 or 4 times, so I'm super glad to be back. I hope you'll enjoy this session too. And thank you so much for the very kind introduction.
No, 100%. Listen, I am personally curious about this for both reasons that I mentioned. And, you and I talked many times. I tested Relay for a very short amount of time. And I do most of my stuff in Make and in A10. So I'm very far from a Relay expert. And so that to me is another added benefit of having you on, is seeing how you do your stuff inside of Relay. But with that, I will give you the stage. Tell us kind of like how, from a mindset concept, you approach this. And then we're going to dive in and actually build in front of everybody how to actually build this kind of workflow.
Absolutely. So this is how I'm gonna think we can run this session, and tell me if you like it. Otherwise, we can adapt it. But we're gonna first talk about why Reddit is so important for AI search. Right? You have talked about the concept of search or concept of appearing on LLMs, on ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. There are several ways to do this. I'm in a way an expert. What I have spent a lot of time on exploring is Reddit. Reddit, as of today, as of at least in 2025 and as of January of 2026, has been one of the major sources of external citation. This means that when AI gives you a link, okay, check this source to see where I've taken this information, up to 40% of those external citation would come from Reddit, right? So Reddit in general, it's a great place to show up with your brand so that LLM picks it up, right? So we're gonna first talk about Reddit as a concept of why is it important, why I think it's gonna be even increasing in importance in 2026. And once we have understood this concept and we have talked about the concept of AI search, we will get to the building part, we will build a solution from scratches that help us surface relevant conversation on Reddit where it could be very interesting for your brand to appear, right? So there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of communities on Reddit called subreddit. In each single one of them, there could be threads which are relevant for your brand, right? And those are the threads where you should post a comment, where you should even post your own post, right? To identify this trend, it's something that it would take an enormous amount of time to do manually, but thankfully we can do it with AI, and we can also do it while being compliant with term and condition of the platform itself. Okay. So we're going to see how to surface this, and then I'll present you also a framework on how to draft meaningful comments that help you appear in LLMs. We'll build a simplified version of the flows just because we don't have so much time, and I want to also give you the overview and explain you how the platform works. So yeah, let's get started. You'll have the chance to either build it with me. You can build along while you watch the video. In any case, this will be recorded. Most of you will watch it recorded. I see that 2 people joined. Hi, Dean. Hi, Tahir. But for everyone else, I know most of the people follow the podcast asynchronously, so you can stop and build with me at your own pace, okay? Or just see what I do, see the results, see if you like it, and then decide if you want to build it or not.
Yeah, perfect. Two things about this. First of all, as you said, we have a live audience. There's, I think, like 12 or 15 people on LinkedIn, and there's a few people here with us on Zoom. So first of all, thank you everybody for joining us. This is, I'm sure you have other stuff you can choose to do on a Thursday noon on the East Coast or wherever you're joining in the world. So as a first thing, just say where you are from in the world in the chat. That would be nice, whether you're on LinkedIn and on Zoom, and kind of like a little bit about what you do so other people get to know you as well. So you get to benefit to network. And also, if you're not here with us and you are listening to this after the fact, 2 things. One, come and join us. We do this every Thursday at noon. You can come and be here with me and another amazing person like Pietro that's going to walk you through very practical AI implementation. And then you can ask questions that if you're just listening to the podcast afterwards, you cannot do. But if you are listening to this as the podcast episode afterwards and you want to understand what we're showing on the screen, first of all, we'll describe everything that's on the screen in as much detail as possible. But also there is if you are on Spotify, you can actually watch the video as long as you're not driving, or you can later on go to our YouTube channel and see the same thing. And there's going to be a link in the show notes, so you can keep on listening right now, get the concepts, get the ideas. And as Pietro said, if you want to build together with the episode, then afterwards, when you're sitting in front of your computer, just open the YouTube video and you can follow along. With that, back to you, Pietro. The stage is yours. Show us the magic.
Beautiful. So I like to start this session always with a question, like how many of you think or have thought in the past at least that Reddit was just a combination of a lot of nerds and a bunch of memes? I don't see anything like you answer me, Aizal. I was definitely part of that group up until 2 years
definitely,
ago.
I fall in that category still today.
Well, we would all be wrong, right? Reddit is the 7th most visited website worldwide every single day.
Oh, wow.
It's the 3rd most visited in the US, at least it was in 2025. It is so important, and there is so much of raw content which you can find in the internet that up to 40% of external citation in LLMs come from Reddit. This is a data from SEMrush that was published in 2025. This has changed. This percentage have reduced over time, but Reddit makes up to the largest portion of citation that come from a single source. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea of how important it is for AI search, so for ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, but it's also super important for traditional search. So whenever you search, okay, what is the best possible tool for XYZ, right, for this specific activity? One of the first 6 or 7 links, and at times even 3 or 4 of those links, will be Reddit. You can test it now. I have done it multiple times. It's just Reddit. When you ask one of these questions, Google returns Reddit as one of the main sources, right? And this is just, you don't need to be an expert to understand how powerful this is, right? The other super important fact about Reddit that I always like to quote, can you see my screen, right? I'm sharing the right one. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. It's 70% of the user who discover a brand they research it on Reddit before buying. Okay, 70%. It's because people give raw, unfiltered reviews on Reddit. Imagine us going to TripAdvisor to check a restaurant or to Google Maps to check a restaurant, right? You wouldn't ask or go to the website and just trust they do it good. You don't go to the website. You do also that. And if you like it, then you go to a place where you can see peer-to-peer review. So it's peer-to-peer unfiltered review. So people trust it more, okay? And the third factor, which is incredible to me that I haven't looked into it, and a lot of businesses and brands, especially B2B, haven't looked into it, is that there are 100,000 active communities called subreddits. We'll mention it a lot, so you should remember I call subreddits. And all of these are thematic, right? They revolve around a specific topic, right? So if you identify a subreddit where there are a lot of active users, and there are 1.2 billion active users on Reddit every month, you identify the exact niche of people you want to speak with, right? And in general, up to data published by Reddit itself, the user base of Reddit is highly targeted, educated, and higher income, right? So for brands, and especially for B2B brands and tech brands, which is what I speak to the most, this is absolutely the best place to be, okay? Regardless of the AI search, Reddit is an incredible source to position yourself and at least to get feedback about what you're building. Even if you don't want to appear with a content strategy, you can just get a lot of feedback about yourself and about your competitor in your industry.
Question from LinkedIn from Anastasia. She's asking, do you think it's equally powerful for B2B and B2C, or one of them is more relevant?
It's a good question. I'm going to answer, but I'm going to answer what I believe, and it's not backed by data, so do not quote me on this.
That's fair.
Personally, my perspective is it's incredibly useful for B2B, right? Because of Reddit users are highly targeted and educated. I think it's a broader scope if you go for B2B. Though in between these 100,000 of community, there are a lot of things which are product brands, like objects you can purchase, reviews about Amazon, right? So there's everything, right? So actually, I want to change my answer.
Depending on the subreddit,
idea.
You can approach both.
Exactly. I have no idea, right? But there would be, even for if you have a legal studio in New York and you find a subreddit which is legal New York, that could be exactly what you're looking for. Maybe there's only one, but it's the people who are relevant for you, right?
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of how much the interest in Reddit is rising, like I do a lot of posts on LinkedIn, but this was one of the most successful posts I've ever done. I got over 200,000 impressions, and it was basically just publishing what I do on Reddit, right? I publish what I do on Reddit, and it got hundreds of thousands impressions and thousands of comments, okay? Because people are really interested in it's like it's surfacing this interest, it's surfacing this utility, and it's surfacing mostly because of its relevance for AI search. This is my favorite thing, and I really love this one. There's this guy who asked to Google AI search, why is my cheese not sticking on pizza? Right, you see it in the image, but I'm going to describe it.
That one.
And then the response from Google is you can also add about 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more thickness. Okay, well, as an Italian, this makes me very sad and very mad. But the fact is that Google responded that because 11 years ago, a Reddit user called Faxmith said, responding to a post, said, to get the cheese to stick, I recommend mixing about 1/8 cup of Elmer's glue within the sauce. It will give the sauce extra thickness, okay? So just to give you an idea, this is something that happened like last year, okay? Someone asked this question and Google surfaced this information from the internet because it's the last bulwark of the internet where people give unfiltered opinion, right? And it's used for a lot of the AI training. And if this is not enough, I want to show you something which is a bit more B2B oriented and a bit more tangible. There was this thread, and the people were asking what are the most slept on automation tool you have discovered. And I was testing strategies for Reddit with new accounts. This is a completely fresh account with no karma, no warm up. I didn't do anything, basically. Didn't have a reputation with this account. Someone asked, what are the tools you recommend? And I gave an honest answer. This answer, by the way, is drafted with AI. I refined it, but it's drafted with AI. And it's what I really think about automation apps. So I mentioned, for example, that Relay app is my favorite, which is the tool we use today, because I'm really a big fan of Relay app. I use it almost for everything. Apart from the fact that it got 1,500 impression and now much more, like this is like I did this screenshot close to that. But if I go to ChatGPT, Gemini, and ask what are the most left on automation tools, so I use similar keyword, Relay app appears with my same wording, right? Basically, it's a rephrase of my same wording, rephrase of what I put into that specific answer. Okay.
That is crazy. Like a
Yeah,
brand
and
new
this is one.
account.
It's
Yeah.
a very specific question, so I mimicked exact keywords that I
Yeah,
used.
but still really incredible.
It gives you the idea. The more crowded
Yeah.
keyword, it's obviously much harder, right? But on simple keyword, it can be this easy, right? You appear on the right thread with the right response, it makes a difference. And then just to give you an idea of how easy it is to get impressions, same account, I posted a video. I just trying to promote my YouTube channel because I don't have enough subscribers. So I post my YouTube video on relative, like I did a video about Nano Banana. I posted it on the subreddit Gemini Nano Banana. 1,000 impression in the first hour. Okay, on LinkedIn, it's absolutely unheard of, impossible. Even if I post a video of me, I have over 20,000 followers. I wouldn't reach those amounts in that time. Okay, you just have to be compliant with the rules of the subreddit and post relevant things, right? If I posted my 15 Say Nano Banana Pro use cases and whatever, any other channel, it wouldn't work. But this one was specifically for that. So people were actually interested into that. Okay, so even for self-promotion, to promote your activity, it's really great. And now we get to the part in which we talk about how I use Reddit. Right on the screen here, for those of you who can see the screen, I have a bunch of stuff which I automate on Reddit, right? It goes from, okay, I want to find idea for startup. There are a lot of threads that talk about ideas for startup, to things which are more relevant to appearing on AI search. In particular, since AI search is the underlying topic of this conversation, there are two automation which I use for AI search. One is to surface commenting opportunities and drafting comments which are relevant for SEO, basically to be surfaced by AI LLMs. And the second one is to find feedbacks and complaints about my competitors, people in my industry. I want to find the complaints that users genuinely do about them and create SEO optimized articles I can post on my blog. Okay, so someone is speaking badly about, I don't know, my competitor, say about Zapier. A lot of people speak poorly about Zapier and they post a lot of stuff, right? One of the hardest things for marketers is speak with the language of the user, right? But Reddit is literally this. It's already the language of the user. So if you extract that and you tell him, okay, I want 2,000 word article, I want to write it with Claude, with this exact style. I want these rules to be respected. Every first of the month, you can have 5 articles for your blog. And say 70% will talk about, okay, why Zapier is not good at that. 30% it talks about why you are good at that. Okay, so these are the two things, and there are plenty of other opportunities, right? I'm also not a SEO professional, like I want to say that. I just always try to use hacks to appear where I should appear. But these are very simple things. If you have more knowledge, you can build even cooler stuff, right? For sure, cooler stuff than I could. And if you do, anybody who's listening, please text me. I'm happy to build it for you, and so I can share it after, because this is a thematic which is super interesting for me. But this is just to give an idea of some of the potential things you can do. You need to structure and you need to design these agents, but then once they work, they really do the work for you. And you can check the final review so that you do it and it's not posted automatically. I always recommend that. But 90% of the work is done. The research work, the surfacing, the information work, which is one of the things AI is better at, it's completely automated. And this is exactly what I do in my course. If you want to join, I'm going to talk about it at the end. I don't want to stop now the building, but building this agent, designing it, and having them live with a specific focus on growth is exactly my passion, what I teach, what I'm an expert at, and what this course is about. Okay, we'll talk about it at the end. let's now go to the building part. Unless someone has question, either stop me if I'm going too fast, if something is not
No,
clear.
you're going perfect. I think diving in right now will be fantastic. I must admit, again, I'm not a heavy Reddit user. I go to it every now and then when I search for information. I will
Exactly.
be very blunt. I don't think I ever posted on Reddit. I just go there to search stuff, and
It is. Most of the
what you're
users do that.
showing right now may change my mind, right?
Yeah, but but even if you think it the same way you used to think about it before, when you want to find something very specific and you want to find something which is not promoted by a brand, where do you go? Like you look on Reddit, you look what people
Yeah,
say
yeah,
about
yeah,
the
yeah.
topic on Reddit, right? So the concept, if you reverse it, is like as a brand, you have to be there, right? You have to be driving the narrative. Some people will say, and Reddit purists will say you shouldn't do it, right? I disagree. You should drive the conversation,
Yeah.
right? But you can at least try to give a direction to the brand, right? To the voice of
100%.
the brand and to the perception of the brand. So
100%.
what we're gonna do next is we are gonna build the first of the two Reddit automation which I mentioned. We're gonna build the simplified version. I posted in the chat, and if someone, either maybe you can post it on LinkedIn as well.
I will do.
It's a link to create an account on Relay. It's completely free, so don't worry. I'll also give you extra credits to build this with me if you need it after. But we are gonna basically build it from scratches. You can also, if you prefer, just follow along. Okay, look at what we do. I'm gonna be very slow and explain every step I take. This is usually how we run this basic introduction session. But if you want, you can also try and follow along. So I'll explain every step of the way. Okay, while you guys create an account, if you want to build with me, I will show you the end result of what we will build today so that you have an idea of where we are going, where we're heading. Okay, let me just change my screen. Okay, I'm gonna be there in a second. Here we go. Okay, can you see my new screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is what we're building today, right? It's a simplified flow. What we're gonna do, now I'll describe what we're gonna do and I'll show the results and then we'll build it from scratch, okay? So the first step is we identify subreddit to monitor. As we said, there are 100,000 communities. We want to identify those communities which are interesting for us, for your brand. Each single one of us will have different subreddits which are relevant, right? If you have a legal studio in New York, you look for Legal New York subreddit, okay? Then you're going to give information about your own company, right? Who we are, what we do, why what we do is relevant, right? Super important so that the agent, the AI, can know what type of comment it should look for, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't possibly know that. And then
And these two things are done manually, right? You go and you search and you find the
you set it
subreddit and you
once.
give it an information. Yes. And then there's a
You do it
document that
once,
describes your company. Yeah. Okay.
exactly. You do it once in the setup and it's done forever. You shouldn't need to change this at any point,
Yeah.
right? The fifth step is to extract the post from Reddit. This is where platforms like Relay makes it very, very simple, right? You don't need to build any connection. You maybe need to have an account, but it's a one-click connection. You don't have to deal with anything technical, right? If there need to be a connection, it's a super simple one, and then it will create a summary of the post it could find this week, because this is supposed to run every week. It will create a summary of those posts. In this case, I'm not drafting a comment, right? My version, what I use, also draft me a comment. I spend a lot of time perfecting how I want the comment to be drafted, right? And that's a question of prompt engineering. Since like the original prompt is a bit long and complex, I'm going to show you the simplified version. So I'll show you, okay, we'll surface this post. Once these are surfaced, it will explain you why it was surfaced. So you know the logic behind and you have the link of the post. So you can check for yourself and go comment, okay? So this is the basic one. The one I will just show you, but we won't build because we don't have time, is a more complex one that also draft this comment, right? So I have spent time defining the exact rules. So I want to frame the problem clearly and respond with deep specific insight. I want to integrate SEO keywords and GEO modifiers naturally within the comment. I want to have clear formatting, short paragraph, bullet, subheading, and everything which is relevant for this comment to be surfaced by an LLM, right? how the final results of this look. The full flow, create a Google Sheet every week that has the post title, the post URL, so you can click and go check, the selected topic, why it was selected, and this is the comment, right? In this case, I run it for Relay, which is the app we're using today. You see here, it gives value in 90% of the post. In 10% of the post, I talk about my own brand, but I talk about my own brand as if it was a customer, right? So I'm not telling explicitly, okay, I'm part of the team, I'm promoting this. I am telling, okay, for teams that don't want to babysit infra, I've been using Relay app. I love it, basically, right? And it's just 10% of a much larger comment, right?
Yeah.
And this is exactly what really works. Now that we have done this, I'm going to go and start from scratches. We'll build a simplified version of this, which should be done in approximately 20 minutes. If you get lost at some point, don't worry. There will be the recording. Either will post this on all of his channel. So I'm going to go with the sustained rhythm so that we can build it and see the results at the end. But don't worry, there will be the recording. And if you need any help, you can also text me after, or hopefully you join the course. That would be ideal. Okay, so
Quick,
I'm gonna change.
just to
Yeah,
while you're opening the new
perfect. Tell
session,
me.
just from a broader perspective to the audience, if you think about it, you can take the same exact approach and apply it to any social channel, right? Let's say you want to grow your audience on LinkedIn. You can say, okay, let's look at follow these people on LinkedIn. I know I want to post and comment on their stuff. I just don't know when they're going to post. So this is going to
Absolutely.
tell you when they're going to post. It's going to send you a Slack message every time that there's a relevant post that you need to comment on. And on that Slack message, you're going to have the suggested comment you should probably put there, stuff like that. So you can use a very similar flow to many other aspects of marketing, following the same exact concepts of I want to follow these topics of these people. I want to see when they post stuff that's relevant to me. I want to know what to comment that will be valuable in a structure that makes sense that people would like to read. And I want to be self-promoting, but in a very gentle, hidden way. And you can literally apply this to almost any other channel you can think of.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. I have built many similar systems for Twitter and for LinkedIn, right? Every social has their nuances, right?
Yeah.
So important you adapt it and you understand the social. But okay, again, it's a one-off. You set it once and then it works for you.
Yeah.
And the concept, the
Awesome.
underlying logic is absolutely the same. Okay, so the first thing you should be inside, you should have created an account. Once you're inside, what you want to do is you want to go here to create new, and you want to go to the second voice here that says workflow. Today will just be the workflow, okay? When you open the workflow, you give it a very simple title, Reddit SEO comment, something super, super simple. And then the first thing you do whenever you create an agent, and this is valid for this platform which you're using today, but you can use any platform you want. You can use Lindy, Relay if you're more technical, any 10, right? It doesn't matter. The first thing, whenever you build any automation, any AI workflow, is to create a trigger, okay? The trigger is the alarm that tells the agent he has to wake up and perform the tasks which are assigned to him. Okay, so imagine as an alarm, very simple to have this picture in mind. And there are several different types of trigger. A trigger could be, I'm just going to make some example, it could be an email that arrives into account. Whenever an email arrives into this Gmail account, do this specific action. For example, I don't know, draft a response. Or whenever I receive an email that has a subject that says invoice, extract the invoice from the email. Okay. In this case, the most common the type of trigger is a scheduled trigger. So you tell them, just like you would tell yourself, at 8 a.m. every morning, do this specific action. Okay. This is also the one we will use for this specific workflow. Okay. So if I set up a scheduled trigger, and I want for this specific workflow to have one trigger once a week. So I want it weekly on Thursday. Okay, this workflow will only run every Thursday at the hours which I set. In this case, 8 a.m. Okay. So once you have done this, you click done, and you have the alarm set. Okay. Now we have to tell him what to do when he wakes up with this alarm. I'm gonna add notes, right? But you don't need to add them. It's just so that when we build, it's more clear. You don't have to do this step. They don't change anything in the workflow. So feel free to ignore them. It's just so people who follow along and see the video can have a better idea what I'm building at each stage, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is identify the subreddit you want to monitor, okay? And this is different for each single one of us. You have multiple options. If you have, for example, a Google Sheet where you have already stored this information, you can connect a Google Sheet. What we want to have is a basic list. How you create this within this platform is you go to utilities and you create a table of constant. What this is a simple table. Imagine as an Excel, as a Google Sheet, but within the platform so you don't have to get out, okay? And what we're going to add here is two simple columns. Here is subreddit name, and here is just subreddit, okay? Pardon, I'm a bit dyslexic. I only need to check my spelling, but ignore it for now.
Doesn't matter. Yes. Again, for those of you who are not seeing, we're literally just creating tabs by clicking a plus button and adding two different columns inside a simple table that is within Relay. So there's nothing unique about it.
It's a table. It's exactly a table, nothing basta. Imagine as creating a Google Sheet. I'm just creating a list of the subreddit which is interesting for me. Okay, I created two tabs. Each subreddit, and this is just a technicality of Reddit, is identified as an r slash the name of the subreddit. Okay, and then to have it clean, I also want to have it without the r slash because I need to use it later in the flow without the r slash. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create two tables with the name of the subreddit which I want to monitor. Okay. These are subreddit, and I'm using product marketing and product hunters, which are interesting for B2B SaaS company, right? Each single one of you, before setting this up, will look for the subreddit which are interesting for them. Okay. Subreddits. Okay, so we have identified the subreddit. Again, don't do it now. Now use sample ones, but do it. This is an important research. You do it once, it's done. You check it maybe once a year that you're still following the right subreddit, and then it's done. The second thing we want to do is we want to give information about our company. Okay, so in this case, we're going to use a very similar step. We're going to insert another table. We're going to do the same exact things another time. This time, we're going to insert our company link, right? So the first thing, and I'm going to insert my company name. Then I want to have my company URL, my website, basically. Then let's say we also have a blog. A lot of company have a blog. I also want to have my company blog. I'm trying to give as many information as possible about my company, right? And I'm also going to give my LinkedIn URL. Okay, so I gave all of the information which are publicly available on the internet about my company. If you have files, you can also upload files, right?
This Question, is just important. Would you also write like you do from a context perspective? Like when I do anything on any AI, I have like a full document that explains about my company, what we do, what services I provide, who I work with. Exactly. Would you add something like this, or is it less relevant for this kind of a workflow?
No, it is very relevant, right? It's a way to simplify. When you're building a lot of agents, if you have the documents, you can skip this part, or you can have a Google Sheet or an Excel, and that skips this part, right? All the information are there. You don't have to write them every single time. Every time you just reference the same file, okay? For the sake of this workshop, there will be people that are familiar and comfortable with doing that because they have built a lot, but there are often people who are building the first thing. So I try to give it an approach which is generic, right? This is very simple. It works very well. It doesn't consume extra credit. So for example, I build a lot of workflow like this, even if I could have a document, right? I need this for information point, company name, company URL, company blog, and LinkedIn URL, and I use this along the way, okay?
Perfect.
Company info. What I'm doing next is basically exactly what you were doing, right? Based on all of the company info which I have created on step 3, I'm going to ask an AI to create a company profile. If you already have the company profile built, you could skip this part, right? So you would save a bit of time every time you build a workflow, okay? And to do this, I want to click on plus. I want to go to add an AI step, right? And I want to add a custom AI step. Okay, this is basically me prompting whatever LLM I want. You can select anything that you can find within the platform. You can select ChatGPT 5.2, Claude Sonnet, Gemini 3 Flash, anything you want, right? In this case, I'm really liking Gemini these days, so I'm going to use Gemini 3 Pro for this specific task. So what I want him to do, and what I will now prompt him to do, is to take all of the information I have defined in the previous step and to create a quick company profile, right? So I'm going to type here, and then I'm going to paste the prompt in the chat. So those of you who are following, and maybe we can also post it on LinkedIn, can copy paste it if you're building with me. I'm going to tell him based on, and then I'm going to reference. When you want to reference information you have used in the flow, you can type at, okay? Then go to company information, and then tell him there will always be one row in this list, right? Because you have built it once, and there will only be one company, our own company. So it's very simple because it's the only option. You go company info, first row, company name, and then I'm basically going to reference here all of the information, okay? I'm going to reference a company name, company
So
URL.
while you're adding the other ones, again, for those of you who are not watching, the way this works, and it's the same on all these platforms, whether you're using Relay or NA10 or Make or Zapier, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. Every previous step, or basically every step in the workflow, provides different parameters into the workflow, and then you can reference these parameters in other steps. So in this case, what Pietro is doing is he's saying based on, and then the parameter is company name, and then also company URL, and then also company blog. And these are parameters he created in the previous step when he created the table. So it knows how to reference information from the table, but it's the same thing. If you get an information from somewhere through the automation, you can reference it in future steps, and so on. So it's the same exact approach in all these tools, which basically means when you're prompting, you can create prompts that will be dynamically updated depending on that one time it runs, because it knows how to pull information from previous steps.
Exactly. That's absolutely correct. And after I have referenced this information, I give this information. I told him, okay, take the information from here. I'm going to prompt and say, create a description of my company, who it serves, what niche is it in, what our customer target customer is, what the main messaging and style are, and what type of product it offers, right? So basically everything that I will later need to draft good comments and to understand which post I want to comment on, right? I'm giving the AI the necessary information for it to work well, okay? So whenever we create an AI step, and this is true here, but on any other platform, you have to make sure of two main things, right? Number one, you have to make sure that the AI has access to the right set of information. So if I reference something that the AI doesn't have access to, it will not work, okay? In this specific platform, how you do it is you can see here that it says AI has access to, and then what it has access to, in this case, company info, which is exactly what we want. If you had to add something, you would click to add data from previous step and reference the right step, right? So one thing you have to always think is, okay, does this have access to the information it needs to give me a response? And the second thing you always have to do is to make sure that the output is in the correct format, right? So do I want one paragraph of rich text that tells me all this information, or do I want several different items in a response? I want the company description, customer served, okay? Cool tools like this one, they already auto-generate responses based on what they think will be the best output. In this case, what I'm looking is something more simple than this auto-generated output. So I'm going to click on this 3-step, and I'm going to change the output format to text. So instead of having a complex and formatted text, I want a simple plain text. I want a one pager about my company, basically, with all of this information. Okay, so what we have done, we have given relevant subreddit with the name of the subreddit we are looking for. We have given information about our company. The next step is going to be extracting the post from Reddit, okay? To do this, we want to extract the post from each single subreddit which we have identified. In this sample, I included 2, product marketing and product hunter, okay? You can have 1 or you can have 10. Absolutely up to you, depending on how many you can find that are actually relevant for your company. The more you do, the more credits it will cost. So you have to be relevant as well, right? So what I need to do now is I need to add an iterator. Okay, an iterator, for those of you who haven't been, it could sound as a complex word. It's actually something which is very, very simple. It loops over a list. Okay, so if I have a series of subreddit I want to analyze, I will tell the AI for each of the subreddit which I have in this list, go to line one, extract the subreddit, perform this set of tasks for this specific subreddit. And then once you have finished this, go to the next item in the list, goes to the second line, find the second subreddit, do the series of tasks for that second subreddit. Okay, this is called an iterator. Whenever you iterate, you have to iterate through a list of things, right? So I'm prompted here to insert a list, and I will reference to the subreddits. Okay, I want to iterate through every subreddit which I have defined here on step 2. Once this is done, I will ask to I will connect Reddit. If you haven't, I think you have to connect one of your Reddit profile. This only extract doesn't have permission to write on Reddit, so it can't damage your reputation. It can only query information, and it's a super, super simple connection. Maybe it's not even needed. I don't recall now, okay? But once you have here, you can type on the bar above Reddit, and if you wanted to do this on LinkedIn, you just type LinkedIn, you'll be able to find all of the actions which you can do with Reddit, right? Depending on the platform, you'll have a set of tasks which will be very easy to do, right? They're pre-compiled. You don't have to do anything technical, right? And here, what I really like is that here you can read and understand. So this one first item is get comments on post, get post by URL, or this last item, which is the one we're going to use, get post by subreddit. Okay, this is exactly what we need now. We type Reddit, we look for what we want, get post by that subreddit, and then we basically just set this up to reference the right set of information, right? So I'm going to tell him, get post by subreddit. What subreddit do I want? Make sure to reference the subreddit without the r/. Okay, here, and it's just a technicality, and it will tell you if you do it wrong. So don't worry, even if you do it wrong, it will stop and tell you, okay, this is not the right format. You will reference that specific subreddit, and then you will ask it, and it will ask you, what do you want to sort that subreddit for, right? You can sort, and this you can do it as well on Reddit. It's the same if you do it manually. You can sort by new post, top post, hot post, best post, or depending on what you are doing and what's activity you're doing in that specific time frame, you can select a different one. For example, if you run this every day, you'll probably want to do the rising, right? Because if you comment closer to the posting date, you have better odds that your comments actually become as viral as the post. Okay, but if you run it once a week, you might want to do, for example, the new or the hot test. In this case, let's just select the new, and then I can select the time period which I want to reference in this workflow. Since we run it once a week, we only want posts which are part of the last week, right? I don't want to post an older one that I might have received already last week. But if you run it once a month, you will have monthly here. Okay. And I also want to tell him, if you don't find any relevant post, pause the run and send a notification. This is just bureaucracy, right? Once
I
this
just
is
want to
done,
do a quick recap
yeah,
of the overall and then where we are right now. So the first thing was just setup. Like, here is my company, here's the
absolutely.
subreddits I want to follow. This is a very static step. The next thing is, because we've defined several subreddits, we want to be able to do the process for each and every one of them. And that's why we're using this iterator. And what we're building right now is the steps inside the iterator, basically what it is going to iterate through for each and every one of the subreddits. And what we did now is basically tell it what information to pay attention to when it's getting the subreddit posts. What Pietro said earlier that you need to be mindful of is that every time this thing runs, because it's going to take the information from the subreddit and it's going to send it to your favorite LLM, you're going to be paying tokens to the API. So don't go and build this with 15 different subreddits. Each and every one of them has 150,000 posts a week, and then you'll be paying a lot of money to your LLM in order to process all of that. I'm sure there's other ways to build filters and things like that just to make it more efficient. But we are aware of that the more you ask it to do, the more credits you're going to pay. And to be fair, since this thing runs always, then you will need to go in your Excel file afterwards through 150 comments that you have to verify and copy and paste and edit, which you may not have the time to do. And so so there's other reasons why to at least start small and learn how to do this and then perfect from there.
Absolutely. And this is a question of design, right? It might sound complex now that Iser mentioned if you haven't ever built, but the reality is once you learn how to design and you learn how to test them, and we'll also see while testing this one, things become much, much clearer, right? You learn
Yeah.
how to make sure that you consume less and platform like this also give you a great summary of what you're spending and you can set your own limit, right? So
Yeah.
it's absolutely true, but it's something you learn in the first week while you start, dedicating a bit of
Sure.
time to this. So now that we have extracted all of the subreddit, we close the iterator. This was the only item which we're going to put in the iterator. For every subreddit, we extract all of the posts of the last week, which are new. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to ask an AI step, an AI, to look through all of the posts which we have extracted for each single one of these subreddit and identify the one that, based on my company information, the information I gave about my own company, are relevant for me to give a comment on, right? So we look for a commenting opportunity and we'll also ask him to explain, okay, what's the angle? Why do you think I should comment here? Okay, so you also have that piece of information. To do this, we'll create another custom AI step. Okay, and one more time, we want to select the model first. Again, I'm going to use Gemini 3 Pro because I really like it these days, but it would do a great job as well with Claude. I think Gemini has the perfect balance within this type of workflow between precision and cost in terms of credits. But you can also test with different one and see which one performs best, right? In the same platform, just by changing with one click. This is another very nice thing. So once we are inside here and we have selected the model, I'm gonna copy paste the prompt and then I'm gonna drive you through it. Okay. I'm gonna have to, when I copy paste, it won't keep the reference. So remember to reference an information which we mentioned before. We have to type at and then look for the specific company information. Okay, for example, in this case, I'm referencing the company name and I'm referencing the AI profile which it built about my company, which is this AI output which we created on step 4, right? So I'm telling you, based on my company name and the AI output which we created about my company, I want you to identify which Reddit posts are relevant for me to comment on. Sorry, my grammar is acting up. They might be interesting to leave a comment on my company and what we offer. Okay, so I'm explaining what you want him to do. And then I'm telling you my goal is to leave a comment that mention our service and how it can help you without directly promoting or disclosing us being part of the company. I want him to basically answer the question, how can company name help in this case? Okay, select the post, and I want to be sure, like I'm basically remarking that I want to select to him, the AI, to select the post purely by topic fit, specifically those where my company's value proposition or solution is relevant and could add meaningful insight. Okay, so I'm doing a very simple thing here. I'm telling you how I want him to select the post which I want to comment. Okay, in a more complex flow with a bit more design and a bit more time, you would also be able to tell him, okay, I want you to draft comment for this post. I want you to specifically use this tone and go much deeper into how you want this post to be, to these comments to be selected and drafted. Okay. Like we said before, every time we build an AI step, we need to check two things. Thing number one is, does he have access to the right set of information? In this case, I needed to have access to the Reddit post, right? It's fundamental. Without those, you won't be able to reference it. And I needed to have access also to the AI output. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that also AI output is added to the type of information that my AI has access to. Okay, and the second thing which I want him to do is I want to check that the response output is in the format which I want. In this case, the auto-generated one works very well because I might want to reference the post URL and post title in different sections, but you just remember to make sure that you're using the right set of information, okay? This is
So again,
done.
just to on a very, very high level, every step with AI, by the way, it doesn't matter whether you do this automatically or manually, needs
Exactly.
three things. What is going to be the input, what's going to be the output, and what needs to be the process in between, right? That's how like every thing that you're building is how it's going to work. And it's the same thing here. You just tell it what the input is. It's getting it from the previous steps, tell it what to do, and then tell it in what format you want the output. And the way you choose the format of the output is whatever you need. There is no right or wrong. Like if sometimes simple text is great. Sometimes you want a table. Sometimes you want JSON code. Sometimes whatever it is that you need for either the following steps or for an output that you can process, you can pick the right output.
Yeah, exactly. And I also pasted the prompt here in the chat in Zoom. Maybe someone can post it also in the LinkedIn.
Yeah, I will do that.
If there's someone who's building with me. We're going a bit fast today because we wanted to cover a lot of ground. But again, you can rewatch this and go at your own pace. Okay. The last thing which we want to do is we want to take this information, these results which we have gotten, and we want to receive it via email. This runs once a week. Once a week, I want to receive an email. In a more complex and with more time, we could also put it on an Excel file, right, and receive the Excel file via email. In this case, to make it simple, let's just send it to ourselves via email. To do this, we're going to type send, and we're going to find the voice send email to yourself. This action basically takes a set of information which you define and send it to your own email with which you created the account on the platform. Okay. Like for an email, you have to define a subject, which is going to be post to comment on this week, for example. And then I'm going to add a current date and time just to make sure that the email reference the week and time. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a body of the email that says, here are the top posts identified for strategic commenting this week. Okay. And I'm going to reference the result of step 7, which identify the specific posts which are interesting for me to comment on. Okay, so I'm going to do data. I'm going to go to step 7, responses, and I'm going to add a bullet list with all of the responses, right? So what this will do, it will iterate through the post and it will give me a response with the 3 top posts of the week because I asked for 3 top posts in the previous prompt, okay? When I add it and I go to data here on the bottom right, and then tell him bullet point of the responses, I'm going to reference the specific information which I want. And in this case, it's going to be the Reddit post title. So that's the first thing I want. Then I want the link of the Reddit post. Okay. And again, I click on data, I go to responses, Reddit post URL, and then I go to why is relevant, which was the second type of information which we requested from the post. Relevant topic, suggested comment insight is this. And the last thing is, okay, sorry, I made a mistake here. Why is relevant? It would be a relevant topic. And then, sorry, getting stuck here. Okay, data, reference to relevant topic. And the fourth thing would be suggested comment insight. Okay, so why is this post we should comment on? Insight. Okay. And then
again, to explain how this works, you can write some of the stuff yourself and you can then add parameters into it. And one parameter could be 3 pages of data, right? Because it's the output of whatever the AI gave you. This could be very, very long, but this is how you create the email. So the email, basically what you type manually is going to be, if you want, like the headings. These are the ones I want to comment on, and then we'll give you a list. And then why do I want to comment or what do I want to comment? And that will be the output from the AI. And it's really, really easy to set up. And then you're going to get an email like this every single week with the summary that the AI created.
Perfect. Yeah, and let's test it. So we have maybe also 5 minutes for a Q&A if there's any question. To test it, you go up at the beginning of the workflow and you click Start Test Run and you click on Start Now. Okay. While this act, let me explain you in brief what we did. So it's a quick summary. We gave information about which subreddit we want to monitor. We gave information about our company so the AI know us and know what kind of comment are interesting for us. We extracted all of the relevant posts of the week from the subreddit which is selected. We fed it to an AI. We gave this input to an AI and we told them identify the one that are relevant for me to comment on and explain me why they're relevant. And then I'm telling him, okay, now send me an email which explain why these posts are relevant. Okay. And if we see it running, it goes through every single step. You can go in and check what it did for every single step. It created a profile about my company. It extracted 25 posts for each of the subreddit which I selected. And now it's thinking about, okay, which of these posts are the relevant one for this specific company, Relay in this example, are relevant for me to comment on. And then hopefully we send us an email with the result. In a second, we'll see the results. In the meantime, since we don't have so much time, Isa, do you have question? Is there any question in the audience, maybe on LinkedIn? I know this is very quick, but we covered a lot of ground. It's mostly to show you what the potential is and what you can achieve. And hopefully some of you have also managed to build this along. Together with the email of summary, Isa, I will also send this template so you can test it for yourself. You didn't build it together. I can
Fantastic.
export this template and you can import it directly.
Yeah. So a few very high level questions. One, uh, the way this works in Relay is I understand you don't need to bring any of your API keys, like you connected,
Nothing.
Gemini 3 and so on. Uh, how much are you paying Relay? Are you paying per automation? Are you paying per month? Like, how does this work?
So you see it here. For example, whenever you run a test run, it's free, which is very nice. You don't pay credits, right? But at the end of every run, I can see how much run it would have used, right? In this case, it would have used 285 credits, right? I can see every single step, how much it takes. For example, this Gemini 3 Pro, it's basically everything I paid for, 241 credits, right? It was the most complex one, right? If I don't like that, while I test, I go back and I use Gemini 3 Flash, a cheaper model, okay?
Yes.
So you can really metric yourself on, okay, what do I really need while you test. Once you deploy, honestly, there's a little bit of a markup. If you run gigantic volume of operation, you're probably better off having something self-hosted with your own LLM. But for everything else, for me, for technical operators, it makes a lot of sense, right? It's also super generous, the free plan they give. So you can basically test everything before putting into production, putting live, and then you can track your spending
Can you
very,
bring
very
your own
accurately.
API keys into it, or you gotta use
You can
their?
also bring it if you want, and that's significantly cheaper. So you can also do it if you're a more technical and advanced
Yeah.
uh, person. But just before we go, okay, I received this email. You see, post to comment on this week. This is the result of the workflow, the date which I asked him to put. And then here are the post. Title of the post. Here I can check the link. Why is it relevant? It talks about burnout, task automation, AI research agents, which is exactly what Relay does. And then the comment inside. The list of tasks mentioned, market research, competitive analysis in brief, are prime candidates for AI automation. Instead of doing them manually, you could set up AI agents to gather the raw data, draft the initial version, allowing to act as the editor strategist, right? So this is great. Honestly, like think about it. Like an intern wouldn't have done it so well. Okay. Next step, you build a comment, you put it on a Google Sheet, and you can edit in the Google Sheet, and then you go and post it manually. Okay. But this I asked him for the post, and he returned the post with the exact logic for which he selected. So I can say, okay, this week I want to comment on this one because this is perfect, honestly. And then I want to talk about this one, SaaS competitive intelligence. So I will invest time into just posting meaningful comment, SEO and geo optimize for those specific posts.
So I want to do a quick, again, 30,000 foot recap because I think it's important
Yeah.
after we were in the weeds and the details, which were fantastic. Like people now know how simple this is to create. The first thing is you see this is a great combination of human AI working together, right? Pietro didn't create a system that automatically posts on any of these platforms. It finds information, suggests what to post, explains why, so you have the reasoning, and then it's up to you to decide what's going to be really meaningful to the audience, what's going to be really meaningful in the context of that particular subreddit, or as I mentioned, LinkedIn, Twitter, like wherever it is that you're posting this, you want to be able to contextualize it. So I think it is very, very important to have the human in the loop because otherwise I can tell you that there's 4 or 5 people that comment on everything I post on LinkedIn and 100% of their posts are AI generated and it's horrible. Like, yes, it promotes my post, so I don't care because more people comment on it, but it doesn't provide any meaningful value and hence those particular people I don't really care about because it's just why are you doing this? Like if you're not really providing any real value. And so I think that's a very important part of this. The other really important part of this is while this was quick and maybe not as easy to follow over sound without looking at the screen, all these platforms and relays definitely from a user perspective side is really, really easy. Is a simple step by step, everything is clearly on the screen, and it's not hard if you have zero technical skills to go in and start building these kind of automations, because you don't need to connect any API keys, you don't need to know what MCP servers are, you don't need to know authentication OAuth 2 or whatever, none of that. Like you log into your account somewhere, like on this case on Reddit, but could have been LinkedIn, and you just select things from there. So it's very simple and straightforward to start building, and I highly recommend to start experimenting with these kind of tools. And the last thing I will say is it's a great example of combining linear process, so step by step that is linear, with an AI that does the thinking aspect in the middle to be able to provide more valuable outputs than just old school linear workflow automation. With that being said, Pietro, this was fantastic. Both the introduction, the knowledge about Reddit, why is it important, and how to think about building processes. It's exactly what we said we're going to do, and you delivered exceptionally. If people want to follow you, if they want to take your course, if they want to connect with you, what are the best ways to do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna post it here in the chat. My main channel is LinkedIn. I also have large newsletter. But if you want to chat, if you have any question, if you want to debrief on this, I'm always very available. Send me a connection reference to this specific session, so I know you have taken part into this, and I'm gonna 100% respond. I'd love if this is a topic which is interesting and you enjoy the session, however fast it was. I run a course where we start from the very basics of building and designing automation to how to improve, evaluate, and maintain agents using no-code platforms, and it's very much applied, right? So we build things like this with Calm, with one-to-one coaching. So it's very much applied. And at the end, you live with systems which actually already work for your company, for Reddit, LinkedIn, and many of the things related to growth. So I also leave here a discount code. I'll send it to Iser. Maybe you can send it in a follow-up email with all of the materials and the template too. And in any case, if you have questions regardless of the course, please connect with me and send me any question you have. I'm always very happy to respond.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody joining live. I know William and Shahed who've been really active on the chat on LinkedIn, but there's been like 10 or 12 other people on LinkedIn as well. So thank you all for being there. And obviously Andy and Dean and Derek, who's been with us, and some other people who left, joined and left in the middle on Zoom as well. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you again spending the time with us and asking questions that make this more interesting. And again, Pietro, thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye, everyone. I'll see you next
It was a
Thursday.
pleasure. Bye, guys.
Thank you.